Hi Leute, wie versprochen ist es wieder Ace TV um 8:50 Uhr am Sonntag. Heute werden wir mit Tom sprechen und tendenziell auf Englisch. Ich würde sagen voll auf Englisch. Um, Hi there. Yeah, Tom is there. Let's switch to English, as I mentioned. Um, Tom is a guy who's very creative, I think. I think he will tell you his story himself because he's much more
Matthias,
enthusiastic in this. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you in these interesting times?
Yeah, I think everything is good, more or less. Just have a video call with the family and something like that, and then it works.
Okay, friends and family are okay.
Yeah, I
That's
think
good.
so.
That's the most
They
important thing.
don't say. Yeah, I think yeah, it is. So, yeah, perhaps just start. Um, who are you, and which kind of business are you following?
Yeah. So my name is Tom Luyten, and today I'm representing the Qraft group. And Qraft group is a pretty particular kind of group
Hmm.
because it's not really a startup. It's just
Okay.
a group of creative people that came together because they felt like when there are projects that need to be done, creative people have a particular mindset.
Hmm.
And that is that if you talk about startup culture, that one idea, one product, or one service, if you
Hmm.
develop it and then you need to push it to market, creative people often do not like this long investment of time and effort.
Yeah.
It diminishes over time. So we wanted to do something special about that. And the way we came about to forming the group was that we were all already part of the Qeske community.
Hmm.
Qeske community is very similar to what's happening in DigiHub Aachen, only it's located in Kerkrade in the Netherlands.
Hmm.
And at first, there were just a lot of people who have one-man companies or one-woman companies stationed there, and it was a really open concept because it was
Hmm.
just starting out. But over time, a lot of people started joining. At the moment, we even have 5 locations, and it's growing every week. And it kind of emerged that there needed to be some kind of structure there. It was never
Hmm.
imposed, but for instance, the hardware people, they were very fast to form their own group and sit together and attract projects that way. Same
Hmm.
happened for the software group, front end and back end development. And then it stagnated for a little time. And I saw
Hmm.
that being involved in a lot of projects with students and other creative people in the Qeske community, we work
Hmm.
together with these groups. But I saw that the creative people basically remained scattered around the community and they did not form a front. So it was
Hmm.
up to themselves as one-man companies to pull in customers. But I noticed that sometimes, for instance, someone gets a project handed to them, but at that
Hmm.
time they don't really feel like they have time or maybe sometimes the assets or the right people to complete the
Hmm.
project. So they say not at this time, and there's no
Yeah.
income whatsoever. But if you form a group of creative people and join forces with these developers and hardware people, it suddenly feels like you have some kind of company at hand that you can
Yeah.
react to
Absolute. Yeah.
projects really fast. You can say, yes, I can do this. And then you can
Hmm.
start to think about who do I need or who can work together here to
Yeah.
complete this project. This also means that the projects that we do are most of the time one of two things. Some
Hmm.
of them are like one-offs, more like unique things that only one of it exists. So there's a lot of
Hmm.
development and thinking and
First
artistic.
time prototypes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
For instance, what we are now doing quite a lot. We didn't expect, but we started with one a particular DJ called Warface. He came to us
Hmm.
and asked, "Can you design a helmet for me that reacts? My eyes need to react to the music, and I need to be
Okay.
able to control it remotely, etc., etc." So we did that really interesting project, and now we're
Hmm.
up to our third DJ doing the same kind of assignment. But of course, these things are, there's only one helmet. There's not
Hmm.
never going to be 1,000 or even 100 or 10. So that's one type of
Gotcha.
projects we do.
Hmm.
The other type is actually going to market. For instance, there is one project called Venster, which translates to window in English.
Okay.
It's like a digital window for people who live in nursing homes,
Hmm.
and they can interact with the outside world through it. And that is actually
Okay.
now reaching market, especially in this COVID times. We are
Hmm.
now also introducing facial recognition. So if someone is recognized, they
Ah,
can call
yeah.
family, they get an app and they can actually initiate calling without an interface. Of course,
Hmm.
if you have a product like that, you need market, you need aftercare, you need sales and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, and that's something we as creative people, as the Qraft group, oftentimes do not want to do. So what we
Hmm.
do is we approach a third party or someone internally in the Qeske community that is actually
Okay.
interested in doing these aftercare, doing these sales, and bringing it to market.
Hmm.
This also means
Okay.
that
Yeah.
if the project is, I already uh, talked about this, but I don't really believe in like a $1
Hmm.
million idea. But let's say that it could be the $1 million idea. Then of course the company that takes it to market and does all the sales will get the lion's share of that $1 million idea. The rest of it is
Okay.
divided inside our group because we work with a shared IP. So it's never
Hmm.
my product, it's never your product, it's always ours, and it's
Hmm.
divided by the time and effort and uniqueness that you bring to the
Okay.
table.
Okay. So you are a group of people which are more or less creative and already did projects in smaller case, and
Yeah,
now you are able to do much larger things and much more unique
exactly.
things with certain specialities. Yeah.
Exactly. For myself, I'm a teacher and I'm a media artist. And the thing
Hmm.
that I, for instance, benefit from the group a lot is that I make interactive art installations. They are rather large and they are hardware heavy and software heavy. And
Hmm.
although I am able to program them and build them, and I used to do that, it takes me a lot of time, a lot of effort, and in the end, I have to be honest, they will probably never be as good as an engineer would have programmed them or built them. So
Okay.
now I can still, because I'm known for these installations, I get the
Hmm.
clients, I do the concepting, I do the creative direction, but the programming and the hardware development is put inside the group and
Yeah.
developed there. And that way I can work better, I can work faster, and everyone benefits from it. And sometimes
Hmm.
it works the other way around, like the software guys or the hardware guys get a project, but it's really it involves a lot of creativity or it needs to be conceptually heavy, and they
Yeah.
don't feel as strong there, and they come to us, and that's the
Okay.
way yeah, it works.
Okay, that's good. So do you build a company of that, or do you just having a group and a internal concept of dealing with it?
Yeah. So the group itself, Qraft as a group, will never become a
Hmm.
company in itself because it's
Hmm.
an entity that always changes per project.
Yeah.
But what we notice now is that some projects are actually becoming so large that they might become their own companies over time. And that's something we
Ah,
are
okay.
discussing, how that should work. We're not out of the woods about that yet, but we're discussing it. But I would
Hmm.
like the Qraft Group itself to never become like a fixed company, because now the door is really open. There's people joining and leaving all the time. There's of course a core set of people that are
Yeah.
like the heart of the group.
Mm-hmm.
But it's open if you want to. Of course, now because of
Mm-hmm.
Corona, it's impossible. But we meet every Thursday in
Mm-hmm.
Qeske-partner, and you're just welcome to introduce yourself, tell us what
Okay.
your skills are, and why you would like to be a part of the group, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
So that's why I don't want Qraft to be a company, because then it's closed. We need to start paying
Mm-hmm.
people, and the door is not as open anymore. But
Yeah,
projects
absolutely.
can become companies. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's quite interesting. Um, so, and you are a part of Qeske, so it's um, it's just well, it's one of the force groups, or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I've became a part of Qeske really early,
mhm,
because I was introduced by Paul Krutze, the guy who founded the Qeske community along with Bert. Really early on, because I was
mhm,
working on my PhD thesis, and my daily advisor happened to be his wife, and I was working
yeah.
around these interactive art installations, and she was like, "You need to talk to my husband because he knows everything
Mhm,
about." And that's how this ball started rolling, and I immediately liked the idea of Qeske because it was so open. Everybody was welcome, and it
okay.
just was like self-selecting. If you put in the
Okay.
effort, you worked on projects, and you put in the time, then you remained in the community, and people that lost
Mhm,
interest and weren't that committed, they just left, and it was no problem. And that was
okay.
something I always really enjoyed. Now it's
Mhm,
suddenly I think it crossed this like critical growing point. It really is accelerating how many people are joining, and that's the reason why these groups start emerging, because it used to be
mhm,
everyone knows each other, and that
yeah.
works. Now we need to like structure, and it never, like I said in the beginning, it was never imposed on us. It just happened.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So it's a task force in an open working space, and not a commercial one, than a self
Exactly.
uh, self-involving. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
And I
great.
think it's really liberating that all the people who are there are, in the first place, they're already working for themselves. So
Hmm.
there's no like dependence on each other. You either want to do
Okay.
a project because you think it's really cool or interesting or whatever, but there's
Hmm.
no dependency on the project to start with. So most of them also start in like free time. You just, oh, I have one
Hmm.
day a week that I don't have a lot of client work. I'll come to Qeske and I'll work on the project. And then it starts growing or not.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. Do you have with this yeah, with this kind of structure or strategy, any problem, or which is special, or do the people had to follow some rules that so that it's
Mhm.
clear and clean?
Yeah. Um, like I said, there actually aren't really rules, but
Hmm.
I think what you're aiming at is that it sometimes can be like a point of how do you say that, vulnerability,
Hmm.
because there's no dependency on one side, but that also
Yeah.
means that there's no like accountability. If you just stop doing
Hmm.
your job in the middle of a project, then you're not
Yeah.
bound by any contract or whatever, so
Okay.
you can leave. Um, we were fortunate enough to be like enough of a tight knit group to never have that happened. Yet, of course, it happens
Hmm.
um, on a small scale sometimes, that you have to call someone and say like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
When is this arriving? But
Yeah.
never on a larger scale that a project actually
Okay.
could fail or something like
Close,
that.
or yeah.
But
Hmm.
I do hear you that it could be a vulnerability. That's why
Hmm.
now, with starting these groups a little bit more formally,
Hmm.
we also get support from the Qeske community to make like project initiation and stuff like that, to make that a little bit more formal. Of
Hmm.
course, because when you're maybe are taking projects to market in the near future, then of course this like
Need a little bit
freewheeling,
change.
yeah,
Okay.
it starts to
Yeah.
become
But
more.
for the start, it's a good point.
Yes, exactly.
So, and the teams are free if they start in this style to switch and perhaps
Exactly.
build a company or a startup and
Yeah,
follow just this
exactly.
project.
Because oftentimes it's the other way around, and that kills creativity or kills a
Hmm.
project sometimes before it even started. Because,
Yeah.
um, for instance, we let's work together on a project, and we
Yeah.
initially start discussing, well, what is your cut going to be if we sell 1,000 copies, or how much effort are you going to put in, or do you going to invest? We just
Yeah.
start and we'll see
Yeah.
along the way where this goes. And that's a completely different way of approaching a project. And it also, what I notice in the community is that it self-selects the kind of people that are actually willing to do the
Hmm.
projects in this kind of way. It's not for everyone. If you need a lot of
Okay.
security, it's probably not going to work for you. And
Okay.
for myself, and a lot of other people do that as well, is that the security comes from another job or other clients, and then
Hmm.
you initiate the project at Qeske. And maybe I have some projects running now in the Qraft group that have the potential to turn that around.
Hmm.
So maybe I'm going to work less for myself someday and more for the Qeske
Hmm.
community. So that there's tipping points
Hmm.
happening.
Okay, that's interesting. So this kind of community is not focused on I see some words capitalism. So it's not focused on start a startup for higher business. So
Mhm.
just to run and start projects. And if this is a good idea and survives, then it's a good start
Exactly.
for a business which can,
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, oh, that's a good idea. I think you had prepared some projects, or you say you have something to show us.
Yeah, just
Um,
because oftentimes when we discuss what
mhm,
Qraft is doing, it can
mhm,
remain quite abstract. Creative one-off projects. What does that mean? I already talked about the DJ mask, and I could just show you some photos that you have a clear view of what that is. So this
mhm,
is the DJ project for DJ Warface, where we
mhm.
designed a custom helmet for him. And the eyes, they need to react to sound when he is performing.
Ah,
And
okay.
the biggest challenge here was that he needs to see when he's DJing.
Mhm,
So we solved that by making a completely custom PCB for the eyes, and every
mhm.
LED has a hole next to it, which you of course don't see because the LEDs are on. Um,
Ah, so,
so
okay. So you
through
can see
the
through it.
yes, exactly. A little bit like the
Ah.
Kanye West sunglasses. That principle. That's what we used.
Mhm,
So that's one project. The reason I want to show this is because some people watching might
mhm.
trigger on like the more of the content of the project rather than the
Mhm.
abstract explanation of what the group is.
Sure.
Um, this is the Venture project. It was part of my PhD thesis, and it's actually a digital window to connect elderly people who live in elderly care homes
Yeah.
to the outside world. As of now, it's with pre-recorded content,
Mhm.
but we are working on, like I said, recognizing the elderly based on their face, and then
Yeah.
family and friends would get an app on their phone saying
Mhm.
your grandma is now in front of the screen. If you would like, you could call her, because
Yeah.
we see, which is accelerated now in these COVID times, that people who live in nursing homes are really isolated. And this is, of course,
Sure.
now even more the case. An interesting project, maybe for everyone who's working in a startup, is that we're making our own coffee brand as well. We have
Oh,
one
coffee
person,
brand.
yeah, we have one person in our group that is really experienced in importing coffee. He has done that his whole life for the big coffee companies. And his dream was to create a sustainable coffee brand, which in which the whole chain of getting the coffee here would be sustainable. Which turns out is a hell of a job, but if someone could do it,
sure.
Yeah, and we're now developing everything from branding up until the grinders for the coffee and the packaging, so that it's all sustainable.
So the grinders too.
Yeah,
what?
everything. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where this connection, these connections are so cool. So the hardware guys, they basically design almost the whole coffee machine, so you can take your grinded coffee home and stuff like that. I don't know how they do it, but they make the most amazing things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's interesting. So it's the change don't stop with the buying of the coffee. So it's over the grinding and the cooking.
Yeah. The basic idea is that the coffee is already at your workplace. So why should you buy other coffee elsewhere if it's already there? And that's why we created a system, or Martin, the guy who's running this project, he thought of a system that the coffee, you could just take the beans home, of course, but you can also grind it right there and take like grinded coffee home, because it's already there. Why not take it home? You're already, your company is already buying this sustainable coffee. So yeah. That's the idea.
That's a good idea, I think. Okay. Okay. So I had the idea in the middle that it's difficult to make a startup out of it, but I hear if you have the idea, it really evolves, and you say some have more or less a commercial project and a side project.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you use the space to do both? Your projects for your perhaps direct customers and the community projects as well?
That's a good question, especially if people want to join, of course. Most of them do. I don't, because I'm mainly media artist, but also a teacher and researcher. So I'm a lot in universities and schools. But a lot of people that work at Qeske or part of the groups, they have their offices and their desks at the Qeske locations. Yeah, so you can do both. You don't have to work on community projects all the time, of course. No. So that's a good question for people who would like to join. Maybe it's also good to know that there's a really large mix of people working in these groups. So you can actually join and work on any level that you're at the moment. So I just talked about the coffee project. This is a guy that worked with multinationals all his life and knows people all over the world when it comes to coffee. But I also have students that are still studying at the academy at the moment, working with us. People who just graduated and everything in between. So you can join at the level you're at the moment and develop further from there.
Okay. This is more or less like ACE do, but in ACE we're focused on bringing the startup thinking to the people. But and doing it in workshops and so on. But starting just within a project is it's 100% hands-on. It's awesome. Yeah. I really like the idea.
It's working out really good.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Do you need some support perhaps? Okay, it's more or less a question for startups, I think. Because I'm asked, I'm just prepared to ask something to startups. Perhaps how we can help perhaps from Aachen.
We've been to Aachen a couple of times, and
Hmm.
we will remain in contact because, as you said, the initiatives are really
Hmm.
similar on a lot of points. So I think it's good to remain in contact and share
Hmm.
ideas and because we're in the EU region. I'm Belgian myself.
Absolutely.
Qeske is basically for now it's a Dutch project, but it's expanding,
Hmm.
and this is German, so you regional. It's a good idea to just yeah keep
Yeah.
each other in touch and work together. Um, what we need is, well, like I said, the door is open. So
Hmm.
if you're interested in one of the projects that we're running, or you think that you have a unique profile or something you need to share, like this is what I can bring to the table, maybe you can use it, or the other way around, like
Hmm.
I have a project, I already said yes to a customer, and I have no idea how I should make this. We can help
Yeah.
you out. So yeah, that's the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's the way. Um, I think we have some guys from Qeske in Meet the Startups. Will you join us?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
30th of April, right?
Yeah. In
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last of
yeah.
April. Yeah.
Yes, I will representing the craft. Will be representing the craft group again, and I will join the webinar.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward. I was at Meet the Startups. I think 1 or 2 months ago. I can't remember. It was still raining and dark outside, so it, it's
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's a really nice event, and a pity that it's not on the location that you guys are in because it's an inspiring
Yeah.
environment. But yeah, I'll be in touch, and I'll be at the events. So yeah, it's really
Okay.
important to hear about other startups and see what knowledge and skills are there, maybe to integrate it with us and the other way around.
Absolute.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. Um, so perhaps if you have something special as well. Normally I ask startups, what was your big failure? But I hear the group just works.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
There hasn't
yeah.
been, because as a group we're still young, of course. There's a lot of
Hmm.
experienced people in there, but as a group we're still young. I think we're live for like a month or two
Hmm.
as an actual entity with a name and everything. Of course, we've been
Yeah.
working longer and working together in different setups longer as well. But as a group, we're still very young. So as a group, there's not a failure yet.
Hmm.
Um, let's hope there's there's not a big one coming up. Of course, individually and inside other projects, we experienced failures
Hmm.
before. The thing is, sometimes they're heartbreaking, but one of the things that I also wrote down in my book as one of the last sentences in my PhD
Hmm.
was that a failed experiment, or for that part, a failed company, has the highest learning outcome, which
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
which you don't experience at the moment. It's failing, um, but in hindsight, and if you have some distance, yeah, you learn a lot out of it. Yeah, and of course
Yeah.
we bring this knowledge about our personal or professional failures into the group already, and try to, for instance, if you talk about students or people who just
Hmm.
graduated, we try to yeah, at least not have them make the same mistakes.
Sure.
That's like a
Yeah.
head start
Absolutely.
you can give people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Okay.
that's my like closing advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a wonderful closing. So yeah. Um, if you have a special point which you want to show us, or we say, okay, this is our closing. Let's keep it and see us on Meet the Startups.
Yeah, I think it was a great closing point. I don't have like an additional large one. So yeah, I would like to invite everyone who joined in. I saw a lot of people coming and going, which is really nice to see. Good experience also doing this for the
Hmm.
first time. Um, I have been doing like how do you say that, a distance distance working bingo for the last couple of months, and I think I'm at 15 or 16 platforms. This is a new one.
Yeah.
Well, not Instagram, but doing this on Instagram is a new one.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But so let's end with an invitation for everyone to join the 30th
Yeah.
of April. I'll be there as well. You'll be there as well. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you,
let's do it.
for having me.
Yeah. Thank you too.
Have a great night.
And yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.